Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, wherever you are listening. Joined with me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
Hello.
And Mr. Jamie Page.
Hello.
Excellent. How is everyone this week?
Oh,
Yeah, very well.
on the up and up.
Not that anyone cares. As always, tonight's show is brought to you in part by Yorkshire Grit, the Wood Turns Abrasive Paste, our good friend Chad at Mancrafting, Pam from Highland Boxes, and Steve Nealon of Harneal Media. That takes all the credit now, because sorry, Jamie, the cat is out of the bag. If you want to find out more about our sponsors, then do please head on over to the podcast. No, seriously, please, because we don't get anybody going over there. Just go and have a look at it, just for no other reason. makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors, and Steve puts all the information there because basically we could trust Jamie to. I think was the.
Please,
wasn't that right?
I think so.
May I have some more?
Honestly,
Richard playing Oliver Twist over here. He's like, oh, please,
totally. Don't bother emailing because Chris will never reply. Jamie doesn't know how to, and I think even though it's my email address that you get, I'm rubbish at that kind of thing. So you can say what you like about us for once.
Sure. So there's all the attractions for going to our website.
It's a good website. It is a good website, though, isn't it? It's got lots of cool stuff on there.
You can find all our old episodes on there.
Yeah, and those pictures of us.
Plus other things. Yeah, our bios.
Oh, yeah.
Bios.
Yeah.
That's quite short, presumably. There's not much to read.
Yeah.
So it's only a small website.
Biohazards, maybe.
You definitely can't find Chris's Instagram over there.
No, well, you can, but you have to search for it.
It's inactive, though.
It's just not manned, or personed. I don't know. How would you? Whatever. I have an Instagram, but I just don't. I don't use it. So
you kind of use Instagram like I use Twitter. I've got a Twitter account, and I do scroll through it. I do see random things, but I don't really. I think the only reason I keep using my Twitter account is FOMO. Because it was always historically, it was always a business to business sort of platform for me, and I don't want to kind of can it and then miss out on potential business opportunity.
I used Twitter a lot in its early days. In its early days, I was because at the time I was a blogger for Major League Baseball. I was a writer for the Red Sox, and it was important for me to keep up with what trades and what was going on from the reporters out of Boston in order for me to write about it to the people that they cared about. So but once I stopped doing that, I just kind of stopped. I left the Bluebird where it was laying.
I've honestly no. I mean, I don't know. Are you on Twitter, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. I don't really. I share a video on it every now and again. I log into it, see if anyone's mentioned me or anything or whatever, but I don't really go on it.
I mean, this kind of actually leads into what we were talking about before. Well, presumably we were going to talk about tonight's show about remodeling, but I used to use it a lot, Chris, just like you. But for me, it just people. And I hate to say it because that sounds really kind of antisocial. It admittedly is a bit me, but at the same time, kind of not the right people. And by not the right people, I mean there's a lot of really awesome people on there, and there genuinely is. I mean, the people I follow.
You just found yourself in the middle of a very large circle. And instead of the very small circle that you would enjoy, you found yourself in the large one where the annoying voices come from.
Well, kind of. But, I mean, for me personally, my issue with Twitter is not actually with Twitter. It's with kind of some people on there. They're in the last kind of maybe...
The people on Twitter.
No. I mean, it's not like Reddit. Twitter as in... I'm not like anti-establishment about it. I mean, no, I don't hate the company. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on Twitter as in like Twitter Inc. or Limited or PLC or whatever their kind of organisation is. It's about some people that are on there. For me, there's a lot of people that just... I mean, it's just kind of this cesspit of hate is what I found more and more as the years go by.
Yeah, well, it just gets
and that for me, I'm kind of back away from. But the problem I have now with it is I'm I'm ultra selective as to who I follow on there because I don't use it. So there's no point in following like 20,000 people. So I think what happens is Twitter now gives me like a feed of things that they think I'll like over and above what I've asked to see, if that makes sense. I follow like a handful of people, and if they don't post, there's nothing there's nothing for Twitter to serve me. So what they do is like, well, you like these kind of people, and we think these other people are kind of like those, so we'll put them in your news feed. I'm like, I don't want to know that.
I don't remember the name of the movie, but Will Smith started it. He was like a scientist that was trying to discover
Bad Boys.
No, he
Fresh
was trying.
Prince.
No, shut up. He was trying to discover
Life.
He was playing a scientist, Richard, and he was trying to discover a cure
Dr. Dolittle.
for a virus for the zombies that were there. In other words, he
had the dog, didn't he?
Yeah, he had the dog. Yeah, I mean,
and he was golfing off the back of the boat. I remember.
Yeah, and he would go to the video store and talk to the mannequins. I'm just
is that iRobot?
You could star in that movie.
Legend.
You would be a natural in that flick, Mr. Morty, because I think that you, out of everybody, would get along very well in apocalyptic situations, like because you wouldn't have to people. There'd be nobody around, and you could just make friends with the mannequins and make them be who you want them to be, then leave.
Do you know what? A sea full of mannequins and a dog is like, that's not a bad idea.
Yes, I'm telling you.
That could literally work.
I know it could. For you, I'd go freaking star raving nuts. But for you, because I know you're such a social butterfly there, Richard, but something tells me you'd get over it real freaking quick. Should we crack on with and leave remodeling Richard's private life alone?
It's I Am Legend is the...
Yeah, I Am Legend.
It's the film. That was a good film. I think that was the first movie I ever downloaded on iTunes.
Because you could relate to it.
No, it just happened to be the first one that I downloaded on iTunes. I can't remember
and then popped it straight into your watch later list.
No, do you know what? I distinctly remember this. I distinctly remember watching it on a dining room table chair in the corner of the living room on the computer with the screen smaller than an iPad mini.
Wow.
It was an amazing viewing experience. Kind of not what Apple envisaged, I suspect, but that was early days. That was about 6 or 7, I guess. Anyway,
okay.
I suppose. Anyway, long story short, I'm kind of remodeling how I am working Twitter and actually all the socials, to be fair, this year. It's kind of my, dare I say it, because we're nearly at the end of January, and you all know how I...
Happy New Year, Richard.
New Year. Yes, and you've done it. You did it last week, you're not allowed to do it again. But that's kind of like my New Year, New Me thing. I don't want to say resolution, because I'm not a big... I'll do those kind of things any time of year. But for me, that's a new evolutionary thing.
Yeah, maybe someday you and I will be able to relate to each other where one platform is good enough. Anyway, so if anybody was what, don't even answer. If anybody read the description, you know what we're talking about today. And we honestly, sincerely praying on our knees that the chat will help us out today, because we really want some tips and tricks for those of you who have done a lot of different types of remodeling. People say remodeling, they automatically think DIY home stuff. And granted, that's pretty much where I'm going to be coming from today. But if you have other things that you want to get out there, put them out there. We'll put your questions up. We want to talk about what you have in mind. But if you have hints, and we can get this thing kicked off, because we got a ton of questions. People asking us for, obviously our experiences. So if you want to get going, Richard, are you ready? Jamie, are you ready?
Yep.
I suspect so.
Chris Murray kicks things off, since he was the first one in with the question this week. Hey, Chris, how are you, buddy? He says...
Whoa, hang on, one second. What happened to Andy? Have we got no Andy?
Yes,
is Andy all right?
Yes, we've got Andy, but Chris just happened to beat Andy to the questions this week. That's all.
That's okay. I was worried there for a minute. I was about to send out a search party, maybe call 111.
No. Andy's fine. Andy's fine.
Andy
gave us a whole list. Chris Murray asked the question first. I'm doing them in order.
Okay. Gotcha. That's all right. That's fine.
I'm glad we spent the last minute and a half talking about that. Anyway, Chris Murray wants to know, gentlemen, when remodeling, what are the basic principles to consider before going forward? Now, I have an answer for this. If you would like me to go first, I will tell you my answer. But if you'd rather me wait, then Jamie, go right ahead.
Right. I would say, do you want to put white paint on your walls with a 4-inch brush or a roller? Because either way, you got to do it.
There you go.
And you've got to do it until Dale says so.
Tell me,
because he ain't going to stop until you do it.
Because you've literally just painted all the walls in your workshop, haven't you? And I mean, how much time did you spend like brushing them down, hoovering them, and wiping them and cleaning them before you painted, or did you just paint over all the muck?
Was you supposed to do that?
Okay, we'll literally gloss over that, or we'll
Quite
emulsion
literally.
over that. But did you brush it or did you roller it? Seriously?
No, I took a broom and wiped all the dust off and all that stuff. But yeah, then I just I went over with a brush and roller and basically I put external paint on the walls.
Because
yeah.
I mean, I can see a little bit. Anyone watching live, they can see a little bit of the wall there. That's basically bare brick that you're painting on. But I can't remember what the other walls are like. Are they all bare brick in there?
All bare brick, yeah.
Is that? I mean, that's
the wall behind
them
isn't. The wall behind them isn't.
That's the house right behind us. So this what I'm sitting in was meant to be for the a coal shed, and obviously there's the toilet. The ensuite, shall I say? The ensuite.
The ensuite. The ensuite. It's where the bidet was intended to be put.
You so should put like like those big art room kind of 18-inch butler sinks in one of there. So honestly, because you could just that would be so useful. If I had a sink in a workshop, I don't think I would ever leave the workshop only for very rare.
A lot of people here in the States have those kind of utility. I call them junk sinks, because you clean parts in the darn thing. You clean your hands in the darn thing. I mean, you do all kinds of stuff in that friggin' sink, and you don't really care about it. So they're like those fiberglass tubs, that have spigots and a drain, and that's basically it. I mean, they're not there to be pretty. They're just there to be useful.
I think over here in the UK we tend to refer to them as butler sinks because they were originally like in the butler's pantry, and that was the sort of thing that they would have been used for. But now they're becoming more and more fashionable. I mean, we've got one in our kitchen now because it's a thing. But they really are useful. They're rubbish. I tell you what, they're rubbish for doing the washing up because they're really low. I walk around like a 90-year-old person after 20 minutes of doing the dishes just because it's really low.
They are because they're so deep. They are low. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely terrible for that. But if you've got something big that you want to splash water around, absolutely fantastic.
All right. To answer your question, Chris, what are the basic principles to consider before going forward? I will tell you this. Trust me, I have remodeled a lot. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm doing that with a bit of a chagrin because I have done it so much and so often that if my wife says remodel one more thing, I may hang her. Anyway, know your budget, my friend. That's the first thing you need to know before you head into any kind of remodeling job is know your budget and price out the project before you even start tearing into it, tearing down walls, whatever the case may be. And always, and I mean always, after you've priced out your project, make sure you got a couple hundred left over because I guarantee you're going to need it. It's like if you've been saving up, let's say you've got a project in mind, you've priced it out, it's going to cost you £700 or $700. You better not get into that project till you have 900 because you're going to spend that extra 200, guarantee it, all the time. Trust me, you're going to need it. Know your budget, price out your project before you get started, and make sure you have cash left over in case you run into a problem because you're always going to, no matter what. I can tell you, we can get into this a little bit later with Andy's questions, but we'll do it with Andy's because Andy does have some questions too. Richard, what about you? Do you have any advice for Chris Murray?
Planning. I think for me, it's all in the planning. I'm currently going through a process. I know we always say a workshop's never organised, it's never finished, it's kind of an ongoing thing for the life of it. But for me, at the moment, I'm actively making certain things a priority, and that's all about, for me, planning, because you end up, whether it's you're remodeling a room or like redoing an entire house or a workshop or even just something quite small, logistically, I think for me that generally becomes the most taxing thing. And if you're if you're working a 9 to 5 or shifts or whatever your day job is, and then you're coming home to do those in your spare time, you've still got all the other things that you want to do in your spare time to do as well. So it's all about kind of time. Do you know what I mean? So, if you want to, you've got to go and do the shopping, or you've got to go and see, well, not at the moment, but you've got to go and see Auntie so-and-so and pick up the what's-its for somebody and take the kids to football or whatever it is. There's all these things that you have to do. Which actually, do it in lockdown, because you can't do anything else. Just go get the stuff and just do it in lockdown.
Well, we have a very sage piece of advice here from wait, sorry, it wasn't Wayne. Sorry, Wayne. I apologize. Where is he? It was a different one. Oh, it was this one. Oh, no, come, would you guys quit chatting? All right, forget it.
Somebody said something, it was good.
Yeah, whoever it was, you've gone by. It was Hodgepodge Woodworks. There we go. Make sure the wife approves of all decisions that are to be made before you go out and actually do them. Very sage advice. I don't mind telling you. Yeah, just make sure.
I think you've also got to be prepared that some things may not always go to plan as well. So
That's That's what the extra $100, $200, $300 you have saved up for is for. Because
you may want that. You may want a picture on the wall in that place, but a pipe may say no.
Here's a question, Andy Pugh. Thank you, Andy, for all the questions once again. Our resident Cooper. Cooper. That's a new word. I just made that up. Is there a remodeling project that you made that you said, nope, never again?
I don't think anyone could say that. I think you're constantly doing remodeling.
Well, but is there a certain project that you did that was a remodeling project that you went, I'm never doing that again? That was just not fun. For instance, let's say you had to remodel a bathroom. Yep, got done with this one. I am never doing it. I'm paying somebody to come in and do it. I'm never doing that again.
Okay, I'll see where you're coming from now.
So is there a project you've done that you said, I'm never doing that again, ever?
For me, definitely, pretty much everything.
All of mine. When I'm halfway through each one of them, I'm going, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah. Do you find when you're doing stuff like that, you get like maybe half, 2/3, 3/4 of the way through it, and you just think, oh God, I just want it to be done, and you kind of lose.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm never doing this again.
So if it takes, like, I don't know, let's say it takes 2 months to do, that 3/4 of it happens in the first 2 weeks, and then the last quarter takes like 6 weeks to do, because you're just like, oh, yeah,
because you're dragging butt. That's why.
Basically, yeah. Or do you go the opposite way, and then you do, because you're like being all like, right, it's got to be no, don't cut corners. You've got to do this. You've got to do that, and then, so you do it all, and then just the end of it, it's like, just paint it. Just paint it all. I don't care if it's bare brick. Like, by the time we get the cupboards on there and the carpet down, it'll be the paint will just cover everything up. You can kind of go both ways.
So I'll quickly ask you two a question, right?
Sure.
It's probably more aimed at Richard, and I hope for Richard's sake, Kat's not watching this. Do you find that you could potentially cut corners at home remodeling than you would at a client's home doing their remodeling work?
No. I mean,
it's the opposite for me. I mean, I don't do client work, but it's the total opposite for me.
So, I mean, there's all. I don't, and actually, I've been doing all these windows all of pretty much last year.
Yeah.
That was almost one of those classic jobs. I love doing those window restorations. They're the sort of job that makes me leap out of bed, even on the darkest, coldest mornings. Because that's kind of basically, it's a bit sad, but I sort of genuinely love it. But even with anything, you do it for so long, you just think, I just want this to be over now, And there were a couple of times where you'd be like peeling back paint or sanding back finish or like just gouging out more and more wood, and you just think there's now, I don't know, as much again work-wise as there was before, and you think, well, I could kind of just, I could stop sanding there, or I could just that'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there was I think it was the last window I did at the end of the last year, and I physically just had to go, no, do it. Because there were, you get like that, the little like red Rick and white Rick with the wings on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Red Rick's going, it'll be fine, and it's like, no, it won't, because you're just gonna have, you just have to come back next year and redo that window, and there's just no point. So, but there's always, it doesn't matter whether it's something at home or something at somebody else's home. There's always the opportunity there that presents itself to, in air quotes, cut corners. It's down to the individual, in my belief, as to whether you fall for that temptation or go the complete opposite and go, yeah, I know it's only like, it's only like a 3 foot high picket fence, but we'll have 6x6 oak posts. But
you do it again. Let's get back to the questions. Is there a remodeling project that you have done many times? I mean, you referenced the windows that you've done, Richard. But what about you, Jimmy? Is there a remodeling project that you seem to find yourself doing, or you've done a lot of, or more so than a single one?
I mean, I've tried to do this workshop myself many, many times, and it's failed miserably. A lot of the times it's due to financial reasons, but obviously, as you can see now, it's not quite finished. I mean, there's a few little bits and bobs that can go up, like a few more shelves maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, over the years, I've tried doing it myself and failed miserably.
I think our shops are probably going to be the things that are just, they seem to be constant. We're constantly changing because we're constantly evolving. Our workflow is constantly changing. So, but let's be honest. I mean, shop remodels aren't like major remodels. They're more along the lines of what I would call a reorganization. Because it's not like you're knocking down walls and building an extension on a workshop. Normally, we're all working within the 4 walls that we currently have. And then we might build a new cabinet to go over here. It's not like you take it down and pull everything out of your shop and put it outside with a tarp over it and then start from square one at the walls and build some kind of freaky, wonderful thing. I mean, I've never done that. I mean, I guess there are folks who have, but that's not done very often. It's normally done piece by piece by piece over time, where you put something up. 2 years later, you go, that was stupid. You take it down, you move the machine over there, and it's kind of a reorganization thing, not really what I would call a head-to-toe remodel.
Yeah, but I mean, the same could be said of a bathroom or even a kitchen.
Well, no, different stories. No, I don't think so, because shops can be done piecemeal. But if you're going to rip out a bathroom, you got to put the entire bathroom back in, and you can't be lackadaisical about it the way you can in your shop. I mean, it's one thing to decide you're going to build a cabinet and put it over there. I mean, you're on your own shop time. When you're going to put it out there? Well, if you want it by the end of the week, then yeah, you got to do it. But somebody needs a place to go to the bathroom. They need a place to take a shower. They need a place to wash their hands. So when you get into that, you've got to get that thing done quickly. So there's a big difference between the two.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the time scale. I mean, this year, or last year now, because when January, I was part of 2 bathroom renovations, and both of those houses were started pre-COVID. So February 2020, bathrooms ripped out. We were finishing it in July. So and it was literally that one of these bathrooms completely gutted. And fortunately for that house, they had another bathroom to use. Yeah. So they didn't have a bath, but there was a shower in place. Now the other one, both bathrooms were being done simultaneously.
Well,
and that's when I was saying about the whole logistics side of it. So you can rip out one and have the sink and the toilet go back in and be usable. It's not decorated, it's not functional, but it is functional, but it's not pretty. But then in the downstairs one, and you kind of, although you start off with 2 baths, 2 toilets, 2 sinks, you take half of those out, and as you put one sink back, you can take the other bathroom out. You see, so that's what I mean. It's all about the planning. So although it's not convenient and it is a time scale thing, you can still do that whole sort of piecemealy side of it potentially. Because even if you only got one kind of bathroom in the house, you can, you still use the kitchen sink to brush your teeth and wash your hands. it's a little bit more difficult for the toilet, but you can take a toilet out and you can have a toilet back in the same day.
All right, enough with the bathrooms. Here's a Mike. Cost, quality, or speed? Which would you prefer? I guess if Mike, I'm going to assume you're talking about if we're doing this for ourselves, as opposed to a client. Cost, quality, or speed? It's always for me when I'm doing work. It's quality.
Yeah, I would go with the same. I would rather save up the money and have a good looking whatever.
If it's my home, it's quality. I'm not going to worry about the cost, and because I'll save up for it, and I'm sure not going to be in a hurry if I'm not quite confident in how to do it. It's going to be, when I'm done with it, it's going to be done right. That's just kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean that's always everyone's answer, isn't it? But I mean the amount of times.
What's the only answer that makes a lot of sense? I think
exactly. Nobody wants it, and I think the point is the triangle. You know, you can have it. You can have two of those, but you can't have all three. So right. I can do it quick and I can do it cheap, but it's not going to be any good. Or I can do it cheap and I can do it quality, but it's going to not be very fast. Or
right.
You can only have two sides of the triangle. And the amount of times that I'll go to a job and price it up. I had one the other day. It's a beautiful old veneered walnut burr antique side table, like a dressing table, like a mini desk for your bedroom. Absolutely gorgeous, but it was covered in scratches that had gone through the veneer, through all the finish, all over. It looked like, I don't know like somebody had been.
Got it. So what'd you do to it?
Dragging chainsaw over it or turning it upside down, sledging on it or something. It was absolutely trashed on the top, and it needed a complete redo. And they wanted it done on the cheap, and I was like,
can't do it.
This is the work that needs to be done to the standard that you're telling me you want it taken back to. It's going to cost this much because of this, and there's the materials. It's a slow process. It's got a lot to do, and in the end,
otherwise I can wood putty it and paint it real quick and real cheap.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone always says, "Oh, well, it's got to be the best done," and then you give them all the options, and like, actually, yeah, well, just paint it.
Yeah, maybe
because reality kicks in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's always that sort of.
Well, is there a project that you've done many times? I guess is the question. Getting back to Andy's question, is there a remodeling project that you've done many times outside of the windows, which obviously you have already talked about?
Not many times. No, I mean I'm trying to
more often than others. Perhaps is the way to look at that.
Yeah, I mean if it's going to be like it's going to be like a fitted kind of storage option, like a fitted wardrobe or an understair storage. But I mean, to be honest, they're all different. They're all the same, but they're all different. They're all unique,
right?
But the same. Yeah. It's kind of a weird one. But I'm actually trying to get my business more focused. Part of the goals for the next kind of couple of years is to try and hone in on that window side of it, because
honestly, the ones that I've done the most often, thankfully, are the ones that are the cheapest. They're common areas in my home, like hallways, dining rooms, living rooms, bedrooms, and most of the time, that is probably the cheapest remodel you can do in a home are the common areas, the bedrooms, the dining rooms, and the living rooms, because you're looking at basically just, in a lot of cases, you might want to upgrade molding, and then you want to put a different color of paint on the wall. And then when you do that and you get everything nice and clean, you're done. And it doesn't really cost that much. It takes time, especially when you get into painting. But those are really the cheapest. I mean, unless you're looking to do something really crazy, like for a living room. If you're trying to totally transform your colonial living room into some sort of Victorian space, I mean, then that's going to take some work. But on the most part, it's just a change of color and perhaps an upgrade to the baseboards, and maybe if you've got cornice molding in the room, maybe change that out too, and the window and door frames. I mean, it's not that expensive, but I've done more of that than I have done anything else. I'm telling you, and there's a reason for that. We'll get to that later, but there's a reason why.
You can always go and fix some holes in some floors, ceilings, and a roof.
I mean, Jamie will be able to appreciate this.
Thanks, Jamie.
He's actually been here at Cat's. Her house is about 1880, 1890-ish, something like that. And the the dining room as it is now, Jamie. So as you come in, the one on the left,
Yeah.
that used to be originally it was the kids' playroom, and it was it was papered up to chair rail height with this horrible kind of red and white striped kind of weird cresty pattern wallpaper. It was just bizarre. It looked like something out of Grim Old Place and Harry Potter. And then after that it was painted white, and then there's a picture rail and it was white above that, and loads of gloss and the carpet, and it was just really kind of old dated fake period decoration. And it was kids room, and Cat being Cat was like, it's got to be bright and it's got to be like trashable. And
this is what I was going to get to, because if you happen to be for you younger folks that are maybe with your newlywed, your bride, and you don't have children yet, I'm going to give you a little warning. You will redo your children's bedrooms more often than you do anything else, because, for instance, my son was born. His room, my wife wanted it to be a nursery, so it was colored and decorated and done all that. I remodeled it into looking like a little baby's nursery. The child grows up, gets to be 3 or 4. The wife wants it to be, he's into Hot Wheels. Let's do Hot Wheels. Okay. I had to take out the nursery, go do some sort of Hot Wheels thing. Then the kid outgrows the Hot Wheels, and now he's on the. I redid my son's bedroom. I would and this is not an exaggeration. I'm guessing about 8 times I've remodeled my son's bedroom, to the point where it is today, and he's 20 years old, when now it's just a normal, regular-looking bedroom. And couldn't we, because that's where it was when it started. Couldn't we have just left it like that? But no. You're going to remodel your children's bedrooms more than you do anything else in the house. But thankfully, once again, that's not all that expensive. It's just a pain in the.
I was going to say, Chris, this is where the advantage that you have. I mean, when was your house built?
This house is not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about the house that I had in Florida, and I built that myself. I had that.
So that was built in the 70s?
Was it not? No.
No, so in the 80s?
How old do you really think I am?
Yeah, go on. Generally, when was that? How old was that house then? That you were talking
house
about?
was built. I built that house, I think, in 1989.
Okay, so call it 1990. So literally,
yes,
Cat's house is 120 years older, right?
Okay.
So when you're redecorating or remodeling a relatively new build, and I know there's going to be people that like live in new builds going, oh, it's not square and the paper thin and all the rest of it. I was like, yeah, that is one side of it. But we took the idea was this playroom had to be redecorated. Right? So the kids went off to their dads, and it was going to be like I think it was a bank holiday weekend, or it was a long weekend, or they were going to be away for like 4, maybe 5 days at their dad's before they came back. They might have even been going away. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So the kids go off to their dad's, and they know nothing about this at all. It's like Kat was like, "Oh, we're going to make it a big surprise. It's going to be wonderful. They're going to love it." I was like, okay, right, yeah, I'm up for this, because it's like scrape off the wallpaper. That'll be all right. Repaint it, do the gloss, carpet back down. Jobs are good. I've had it done in a couple of days, barbecue on, feet up, lovely time. Oh dear. Took the carpet up, rolled it up, put it in another room, just get it out of the way, down on the bare concrete screed. Start peeling wallpaper. Now, anyone that's peeled old wallpaper will tell you just what a nightmare it is anyway. But there was like paper coming off, and there was lining paper underneath it, which was hiding the original lime plaster. So like really old lime plaster, it just, as it dries, you get these tiny cracks, and when it's really old, it kind of starts to flake, and it's not very smooth. So it went from peeling wallpaper and sanding, filling, painting, to basically plastering the entire room, floor to ceiling. I drew the line at doing, because the ceiling's papered as well. Now, having taken the wallpaper off, I said, I'm not taking that ceiling paper off, because I know for a fact, because we've previously had the floorboards up, said the ceilings are all old lath plaster. So as soon as that...
Wait a minute. There was paper on the ceiling?
Yeah. Yeah, they've papered the ceiling because it's like this textured stuff.
Crazy.
It's horrible stuff. I mean, it looks okay. Well,
No,
it would do if
it
it was.
doesn't. No.
No. So no. Genuinely, it does. It looks
No,
okay.
it
Once you've got the plaster ceiling roses up there around the light fittings and everything, it actually looks quite nice. And you don't sit and stare at the ceiling. It's a nightmare to paint those.
That's kind of my point. If you're not going to sit there and stare at the ceiling, then why decorate it? It should be white, flat, unnoticeable. Leave it that way.
We didn't paper it. It was papered already, but I refused to take it off because that ceiling is lard and plaster. I was like, I'm not going anywhere near that because as soon as one nib breaks, we're going to end up with the ceiling on the floor, and I am bored in.
See, this reminds me.
Like, no, put my feet down.
This reminds me of one of the bathrooms upstairs I had to remodel. It had wainscoting all around the lower third of the room, and I went to go remove the wainscoting, and it just kind of started ripping. I said, "All right, you know what? Forget it. You know what I'm doing? I'm ripping out the entire freaking wall. I'm starting over." And I did. I just took out the drywall, didn't even bother with the wainscoting, and I said, "Nope, that's it." Cutting the whole freaking thing out, and just started ripping it out, pulling the nails, bought some new drywall, put new drywall up. I'm done. And it was quicker, and it was easier, and it was less expensive and less tedious on my nerves to do it that way. And
that's the thing, though. Your house is built for speed. You just literally rip off the wall, back to studs, denail it, retack it, mud it, paint it, done. You can have that done in 2 days.
Yeah.
Whereas we're literally having to replaster the wall. There's plaster coming off the walls. It's going back to bare brick. It's got to be bonded. It's then got to be all skimmed. You're talking like we had dehumidifiers and dryers in the room to try and get the plaster dry enough to paint. And you're like, once the plaster's going off, that's like down tools until it's ready to paint, dude, because we can't do anything.
Well, that's when you take out that's when you take the wall down and then you stud it whether it needs to be studded or not, and then you go back.
Yeah, but these are solid brick 9-inch walls, Chris. They're not like
good. Stud the floor, stud the ceiling. The wall will still stay up. You don't need to stud it to the existing whatever. I get what you're saying, Richard. I'm just going. There are ways if you're creative about that. David Burchard's out there saying the remodeling that he's done that he. And this goes to the next question. Is there any remodeling projects that you look at and that you say no before even starting? David Birch was talking about fire. He's apparently done a lot of fire remodeling because, rooms, buildings, whatever, because of fire damage. And Wayne's out there talking about having to redo flooding like 5 times in a row. I got one on both you guys. I had to do remodeling because of a hurricane.
Somebody mentioned that in the chat, didn't they? That was was that Hodgepodge? I saw that before. Was that Hodgepodge Woodworks that said that?
It was Wayne. Didn't I say Wayne?
I missed you say that. Sorry, I was going through that.
So, gentlemen, is there any remodeling project that you took a look at and then you went, "Oh, hell no"? Just like, nope, not doing it. Not even before you got started. Is there anything that you've seen and I'm going to hire somebody for that. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, we had one. We had a Velux put in 3.
What is a Velux?
Like a roof light. So if you've got a pitched roof, imagine having a window put in the roof, but it's flat, flush to the roof line.
Okay.
So if the roof is there at a pitch, and it kind of just it kind of flaps open like
got it.
Do it in my hands. So yeah, when you look at it, it just looks like a piece of glass effectively in the roof,
right?
And then you can open it like a window. So we had one of those put in the upstairs bathroom because that portion of the house, when it was built, for some reason they didn't put a window in the room, which is genius for a bath for the a room that you very regularly go into during the course of a day
to create steam when you shower. Yeah,
exactly. It makes a fantastic like Roman bath, Swedish sauna kind of deal. And,
mold growing machine. Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't because we always used to leave the door open and it goes onto like a corridor because of the way the house was built. You have to have this corridor. And at the end of the corridor was where the cats would come into the house. So that window was always open. It wasn't perfect, but it was the closest solution we had. It
was better to have the window where you put it in the roof. Yeah.
Basically. So we had that put in and we had to have some work done on the roof anyway. And I was like, I'm not going up on the roof. I'm not playing around. I'm happy. Like, mucking about inside, but that is outside my skill set, and I am not interested in learning it and making it part of my skill set because
Roofing is actually really is easy, but whatever.
I mean, literally having watched the guys do it, I was like, yeah, I could have done that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to. It wasn't worth the risk. It wasn't worth the time. I didn't have the time. Just, pen out how much, sign the check. It's their liability then, isn't it?
My answer to that question is, Andy, I haven't met the project yet that I said no before I even started. But I'm still, even after 10 years since the last time I painted was this room. And that was about 10 years ago, and it needs to be repainted. But even still, 10 years later on, I'm still not really wanting to do any more painting. You have to understand, there was a very long period of my time when I was younger where every time I turned around, I was being asked to hold a paintbrush and do something with it. And I was just so, I mean, for crying out loud, I painted my way through my first year of college. I worked for a painter in order to pay for my first year of college. So, I mean, I'm done painting. I'm even 10 years on with painting. Haven't touched a brush in 10 years. And if you tell me I have to repaint something, I'm still going to go, don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. And it's not that I'm bad at it. I'm actually really good at it. It's just, it's like you said, Richard, sometimes you just get sick of it. I'm just, no, I don't want to do it. It's like, I'd really rather hire a painter, but I know I never will because I'm cheap. I'm cheaper.
I genuinely love people like you, Chris, because there are people out there that could quite easily do some of the work they ask me to do, but they're like, you know what? I want you to do it because I don't want to do it. So I'm like, okay, that's fine by me.
Yeah, I will do it. No, I know I will do it. It's just, but if you look at it, and I look at it and go, do I want to do it? No. Will I do it? Yeah, but begrudgingly, I will do it. But yeah, I'm in no hurry to freaking get on that. What about you, Jim? Is there anything that you've looked at and said?
The same.
Okay.
I don't mind painting walls, but I hate painting the ceilings. So I hurt my shoulder years and years ago, and every time I spend a long time painting ceilings, it kind of refires it up again.
I got a story for you. A buddy of mine were my neighbor, actually, good friend of mine. We used to work at each other's houses all the time. I mean, I helped him put a roof on his house, and he came over and helped me put mine on when I needed it. That kind of stuff. I helped him rebuild a bathroom, and he came over and did whatever little silly stuff I needed an extra hand for. But we took on a project because his uncle had two properties. His uncle lived out of state, but he owned a home there, and he wanted it repainted and redone and remodeled before he got down for the winter. And so, my friend always looking for a buck because that's just the way he was. I got a buddy. He and I can probably get that done for you. No problem. How much you willing to pay us? And the guy told him, and he said, we'll do it. And he comes over and tells me, Chris, get what we're doing. I go, what? He goes, we're going to remodel my uncle's house, and he's going to pay us. And I'm going, did you think about asking me if I wanted to do this before you did it? Anyway, so we got stuck in doing this project, and I'm in one of the bedrooms. And you know how when you get a leak from a roof and it gets down to the drywall and it leaves that big brown stain in the ceiling. Okay, well you got to put a Kills or some sort of very heavy duty friggin' primer over that to kill that stain before you can paint the ceiling. Okay, and this is me, professional painter. Remember talking? I had forgotten to open the windows in the room. And I had the door to the bedroom closed as well. So I'm sitting in an enclosed space, and it was a very small bedroom. And I'm breaking out this Kills primer, and the VOC's coming off this thing. And I didn't realize it, but before I knew it, I'm seeing blue and purple and getting dizzy, and I don't know what's going on. My friend walked in.
What do you think about that, Chris? Do you reckon that's all right? How about you, Chris, over there? What do you think I see there? Hey, Chris, what do you think?
My friend walks in and sees me standing there kind of cross-eyed and smiling. And he goes, oh, boy. He grabbed me and took me outside so I get some fresh air. Yeah, not fun. Anyway, yeah, if you're going to be indoors painting, open the windows. Just a clue. Anyway, so let me see. Any this ought to be fun. Any good remodeling disasters? I'll give you one that Andy has first. He says his father-in-law cut through a gas pipe while taking up a floorboard when he was helping him rewire his first house. He said, yeah, the gas pipe was too high and the gas pipe was unmarked. But yeah, that's kind of a remodeling disaster. Like cutting the gas pipe with, like, especially if you're using a reciprocating saw, and all of a sudden, problem.
I could totally relate to that. It didn't happen to me, but this is more of a lucky break, swerve / dodged a bullet kind of a story, but gas pipe disaster. I had a call from a previous client. Could I follow up the job that I'd already done with them? Could I hang this TV on the wall for them? And they'd gone out. They'd gone out and they'd bought. And this was back in 06 or 07. My daughter had been born, but she was tiny, and I was like, yeah, it's probably. I'd have to come and have a look, kind of a deal. So they've got this really nice big kind of new build detached house. It was like three floors at least. It was a really nice house. And all the walls were blockwork and they'd been dot and dabbed with plasterboard. Mm-hmm. So basically, rubbish. And they'd gone and built this like 245,000 inch plasma screen TV. They'd spent thousands on this telly. And you see it in the box and you're like, even me, I'm like looking up on it thinking, Jesus, this is a huge telly. And I'm like, oh, I really don't want to like get hanging this wrong. So this is going to have to be like reinforced, like properly, like this ain't going anywhere. If I'm going to hang this, so this is going to be like welded to the wall. And I sort of made the right noises and said, well, yeah, it can be done, but that's a big expensive telly. You don't want it falling off. We're going to have to over-engineer this to actually make sure that, just to be on the safe side. So when it goes on the wall, it stays on the wall and all the rest of it. And they're like, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. And I came back to them with a price. It was a reasonable price. Not one of these kind of, you basically take the price, triple it because you don't want to do it and then hope you don't get a call back. I didn't hear anything back for several weeks. And about 3 weeks later, the phone rings again. You remember we were going to hang this telly on? I was like, yeah, no problem. I can come in. I said, well, my husband had a go at doing it at the weekend. We've had, basically, he drilled through, he'd gone and got this stud finder. Right, like an electric beep stuff finder.
He found a pipe
because he's like tappity tap on the wall. Oh, plasterboard, yeah, metal studs or timber studs. And he tap right. Okay, so beep beep beep, and you go beep. It's like right, excellent. Drill, and he drilled straight through the drywall, straight into this 15mm copper gas pipe.
I know,
right? But I felt so sorry for him because if you imagine, it was a big living room, and right in them, and it was kind of divided up into thirds. It got this huge chimney breast in the middle of this this kind of living room, and the TV was going in the alcove on the right hand side of that chimney breast, the corner of the room.
I felt bad for him.
Well, I felt fortunate for but this gas pipe that had no reason to be. It was literally there was this copper pipe lurking in a place where it had no business to be because the fire was in the middle of the room.
There's probably a feed pipe from the street to the house.
No, because it was a vertical pipe. It was literally like halfway up the wall where they were going to put this TV. It was literally like, if you imagine the very corner of the room, it was about 6 or 8 inches in from the very corner of the room.
Well, but the fact that he found it with a stud finder and thought it was good.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, oh, we'll go there. Bam. So of course they go, and he's like, that's a bit of a cheesy feat. What's going on? So they had to get the gas man out. Even the gas man was like, what the hell's that pipe doing there? And even if it was supposed to, why is it not like? Why? There's so many reasons why this is wrong and shouldn't be there. It was like pure bad luck, everything against him, and I was like, whoo, dodged a bullet there, pal.
Oh man, all right, we gotta move on. Too funny, but I take it you got the television hung.
Yeah, I mean it was easy for me then because the gas man had come along, taking this enormous chunk of plasterboard out of the wall, and I was like, oh yeah, blockwork behind there, no problem at all. We'll just like bolt a big bit of plywood onto that, and we'll just put the thing on, patch it up straight over the top. It was like, instead of taking me, I don't know, it took me like 10 minutes as opposed to an hour. Or like, so much quicker. Like,
yeah, Jamie, have you screwed anything up?
Sorry, what?
Not
Sorry,
really.
Jamie.
Not that I can think of.
No, not really. I haven't either, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know if it's just because I'm super careful or just been lucky so far, Andy. I don't know. What's your favorite remodeling project that you have done? That's a good question. Who wants to take that one?
I think Cat's Kitchen's my favourite.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Me probably supervising in this one. So I'm going to say making bacon sandwiches.
There you go.
Jamie makes awesome bacon sandwiches, everyone, as well.
Yeah.
Go stay around Jamie's house and have a fry up.
Yeah,
they're amazing.
There's 3 pigs on each sandwich. I know, you told me. My favorite remodeling project, I have 2, if I can say. The first is the master bathroom I remodeled upstairs in this house. Because it really turned out well. I was really happy with it. It came out really well. It was one of those where you pat yourself on the back and you look at it and you go, yeah, I freaking did that. Because I totally gutted that bathroom and built it out with tile and glass, a glass surround shower. I mean, yeah, that looks good. And my second one will be this room that I'm sitting in now. Because when I moved into this house, this was I'm sitting downstairs from my house. Okay, this was when we moved in was nothing but studs on the walls. Everything that you're looking at now, there's doors, the alcoves that I created them. So, and the I don't know if you can see it. There's a where is it? Over there, right there. There's a rise that kind of goes down across a beam. I have another one that I put in here, and there's another one over there. Very colonial looking. I did a very colonial looking job on this thing, and I ended up stuccoing the walls, and I hung all the drywall and built the walls up. So yeah, this was a fun project to do. But to get back to our original one. As far as planning and doing, especially home remodels, guys, there's the reason why you need to know your budget is because my advice is if you know that one is going to be more expensive than the rest, do the one that's the most expensive first, as opposed to me. What I did, I left the most expensive one till last, and then the budget I had to do remodel because we bought this house knowing we were going to remodel the entire house. Positive knew it. Every room was going to get remodeled, and so far, I have remodeled every room in this house except for one, and it's the one that costs the most to do. And if you're wondering what that is, I was telling you, it's cheaper to do with the common areas, the bedrooms, things of that nature. Those are cheap. Flooring is a little more expensive depending on what kind of flooring you're looking at. So if you got to pull out a floor and put one in, that's more expensive than painting and baseboards, but it's not crazy. Bathrooms are expensive. Because you have looking at buying new ceramic toilets, new sinks, new cabinetry, new bathtub, new shower. I mean, they run into some cash. But the most expensive room in your home to remodel is your kitchen, and it's the only one that I haven't done yet. So my favorite project, I can't tell you, is solely those two because I haven't done my kitchen yet. My kitchen, the way I envision it, may end up being my favorite project, but I haven't done it yet because I started down here. There's another piece of advice. I live in a 2-story house. The last place you should remodel is the place downstairs because you got to
traipse all the stuff through.
Because everything from upstairs gets traipsed down through the nice new brand new room that you just built. Learn that the hard way as well. So it's just a bit of advice.
I just remember something I did actually mess up. So,
what's that?
A few years ago, I had to go up into the attic to get some stuff out of there and clean it all up. And we was kind of getting rid of some old crap from years ago. And while I was up there, so the floor of the attic to kind of a lot of the floor, should I say, is various bits of wood and old doors and all that kind of stuff, kind of like jerry-rigged together just to make a floor.
Right.
But some of the doors still have handles on them.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? So I'm walking around the floor, right? Picking black sacks up and all that kind of stuff, ready to come downstairs. Right? When all of a sudden, I boot one of these handles, full ass over tit, right? And then all of a sudden, one of my feet goes up to my kneecap through to the floor, right? Into my parents' bedroom. Right? When all of a sudden a massive sheet of plasterboard lands straight onto their bed.
See,
putting your foot through a ceiling is not hard if you step in the wrong place. Yeah.
Yeah.
somebody said that. I've just been desperately looking through the comments there. Hodgepodge Woodwork said he slipped on a rafter and had one leg fall through a ceiling.
Yes, yeah.
But a funny story here. This didn't happen to me, but I witnessed it. It was absolutely hilarious, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. When I was a student, I lived in Bristol. There's like 9 students in this house, and it was like this old Georgian townhouse, beautiful house, massive room, 10-foot ceilings in all the rooms. It was just a gorgeous house, and the owners had bought it up and then basically done nothing with it for 30 years and just flogged it out to students every term, and just basically lived in the Bahamas off all the rent. Anyway, the downstairs of this house had quite a nice large downstairs loo, and it was wheelchair accessible, so it was a big room. It was maybe 4 foot wide and maybe a bit more, and about 10 or 12 foot long, with like this door and a toilet at the end. So imagine like a film where they're filming that sort of depth. It was just like that.
Anyway, what happened?
But all the plant, this whole place is basically nearly derelict, and there's huge cracks in the ceilings and all that, like proper dodgy looking. Anyway, my girlfriend at the time goes to use this room, disappears off. We're all sitting in the living room watching like series 1 of 24 or whatever it was, and she gets up, goes out, hear the door close. A couple of minutes later, just like a bomb had gone off in the front garden. Right, she just sat there.
Oh no!
Huge bang!
Oh no!
She comes in. She looks like the McDougal's flower person, just covered in plaster dust with bits of like lime plaster and horsehair matted under the whole ceiling. Literally wall to wall, just went and landed on the floor. And there was just this cloud. You couldn't see anything from like 5 foot down because there's just this cloud of dust rising coming out from under. It literally landed. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't knock her out cold, because you pick up a big bit of this plaster. It's like 1.5 inches thick, and it weighs a ton, and it still landed on her.
Wow!
Yeah, it was like a problem. So we rang the landlords, and they came and fixed it. But it took them about 3 weeks, as I remember, to go fix this ceiling.
Wow, that's not fun. All right, Jamie, we need you to sing, my friend, because we're already running late. So if do you have something this week, or can we skip it?
No, I do have something this week.
I tried, Richard. I tried.
Next week, people, can you just do nothing? Like, don't do anything. Don't even get out of bed.
I will still find something.
Yeah, you will
make something up.
Yeah, go back a year. Go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
It's time for Jamie's page.
Yay!
So on Saturday, starting at 10 a.m. UK time, we have the Virtual Craft Festival.
Yay!
Starting at 16 hours, going throughout the day. It ends 2 a.m. the next day.
Saturday. What time your time in the UK, Jimmy? Does it start?
10 a.m. and it starts over on my channel.
That would be 5 a.m. in the US. Okay.
Yes, correct. Eastern, that would be, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So there's wood turners, electronics, scroll sawers, potters, resin pourers. Jake's doing some. I think he's making pen blanks, maybe. There's glass blowing. And Berkey's on there as well. I have no idea what he's going to do. But Berkey's going to be there as well. Yeah. So, the Virtual Craft Festival's
he's going to show you how to make a taco.
So, yeah. Obviously, my premiere is on in 31 minutes. Caitlin the Cat's on 15 minutes after me. So there's that. My shout out this week, and after Richard gave me a lot of poop during the week about my shout out.
I did not. I so didn't.
I deserve it to be my shout out as well. So my shout out this week goes to the boys over at Brothers Make. Now they not only made a Nerf crossbow, but they made a giant Nerf crossbow, one that you can fire out the back of your car. Yeah, it was a great video, and is that you get a nice little treat at the end of the video as well. So, yeah,
Brothers
definitely
make.
great video. Yeah, brothers make.
Richard, do you have one or no?
Do you know what? I have and I haven't, and I've watched so much stuff over the last week, like literally hours of YouTube I've watched. I'm struggling to pick one out because I like to shout out channels, not just individual videos.
No, I hear you. So, I mean, you take your time. I'll give you mine. Mine is a channel called, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. You probably are. This gets, it's not a small channel, not huge, but it's not small. It's a channel called TRW. Don't know if you're familiar with it or not. He put out a Saturday. He put out a video on Saturday, I believe, on restoring an old vice.
It's the Russian woodworker, isn't it?
Yeah, he titled it "The World's Most Expensive Vice." Now that might be a little bit of clickbait in there, but honestly, I know the vice that he actually restored in those vice. They're not cheap. I mean, honestly, if you go watch the video and you see the vice he's restoring, if you find one for $500, buy it immediately because you can flip it the next day for $750. These vices are not cheap because they're rare. Anyway, he did a really nice job on that. I enjoyed the video. So if you have a chance to check it out, channel once again is TRW. And he, I think he titled it "The World's Most Expensive Vice," and it's a restoration build. But he did a nice job on it, so it's worth taking a look. There you go. And Richard, you can hang on to yours. We can do you next week. It's time for us to go.
I found one. It's really simple. It's a 50-second video. You'll like it. It's amusing. It's from a channel called KSAT12, and it's people in those dinosaur costumes at the races, getting out the gates and running a race. It's just silly, but it's funny just to watch. It's nothing to do with making. It's just funny. I'll send you the link to put in there.
Oh, goody. I can hardly wait. I'll be waiting on pins and needles. All right, Richard. I think we're done. Unless anybody out in the chat has something they want to add before we take off today. Nope. Okay, cool. Wrap it up, Sweet. Mr. Morley, if you would, please.
So, as always, people, thank you for listening. Sometimes we wonder why. Sometimes you probably do as well. If you are still listening, thank you. If not, we'll say what we like about you until next week. We'll talk about something else, no doubt. No idea what it's going to be, but it'll be good. So until next week, you'll have a great week and take care.
Have a great week, everybody.
Take it easy, everybody.